Hello, listeners. Welcome to my podcast show. This is your host, Isaiah Neni, and this is the GameTime Gazette, where we're talking all sports, including Formula One, UFC, boxing, NBA, NFL, NHL, and more. Let's have some fun. Let's get ready.
Good afternoon, people of the world. Thank you for joining me on another day. This is the GameTime Gazette. This is your host, Isaiah Neni. I'm, excited, glad to be back, on another beautiful Monday, talking some sports. We're going to start upping the content as well, as we start, getting, this is episode 8 now, so this has been a few episodes in, so, start upping the content, add some video content for sure. So just be on the lookout for that as I'm adding, different YouTubes and TikToks and all of that. So just be on the lookout for that as we expand, as I try to expand. That's just a quick little update. Today's Monday, the 26th. It was a fun weekend. I mean, it was a lot of soccer. Basketball was on as well. A lot of basketball on Sundays, so there was a lot of games. It was kind of mellow on the Saturday, but it's starting to amp up as we're getting closer and closer to playoff time. There's like 20 or so games remaining. I think 25 games remaining for the Raptors, and that's not a lot of time. That's a quarter of the season left, so definitely a lot to dive in on. But we're gonna start off with the soccer. As I said, a lot of soccer. Actually, no. Let's start off with the soccer. Let me just stick on schedule. We'll start off with the soccer. I wanted to, first start off with the Barcelona, closing the gap on Real Madrid in the La Liga. Finally seeing a good performance. Like, this is one of the best performances all season from the team. I mean, we're seeing that Xavi ball come back into action, 4-0 against Getafe. Getafe not doing too bad this season with Mason Greenwood, and up forward and all that, and through the media and all that, they were talking that whole Mason Greenwood situation interesting, because they're saying how Man United, they're going to evaluate that later. Obviously, what that means. He's probably going to go back to Man United, that poor club, Man United. They need more forwards though, and I guess if the media doesn't harp on them again, that's probably what they're gonna do. And with the decline of Rashford this year, they're probably just gonna get him. They're probably gonna bring him back, and that's what I'm predicting. Even if you think that's right or wrong, it's probably not the best decision for Man United to do that. It's the whole media thing. The last time they were talking about bringing him back, it was a really big controversy, and they had to loan him out, and they were about to sell him, but loaned him out because still wanted to keep the rights to him, but obviously couldn't play him, and I guess he was cleared to play. A whole mucky situation, but yeah, I'm not the one to talk about that. I don't even have really too much opinion on that. I'm gonna leave that to the I'm gonna leave that to the United guys. Yeah, because they got more things to worry about than Greenwood, though. But yeah, Barcelona winning this game 4-0. Started off the scoring. Yeah, Rafinha, man, a goal, assist, and a hockey assist as well. That's a pass to an assist. Played really well. First game back, and this is the first game that he's really showed that he's back. Really had that post on IG saying I'm back, and we see him then, and that was impressive, right? The goal was impressive. The assist was impressive to Felix. It was a really all-around game. This is what we wanted to see from the team. De Jong was everywhere. I really enjoyed his contributions. He was able to get a goal as well. We had a lot of shots on target, 17 shots, 9 on target, 68% of the possession. We controlled the whole game. Xavi ball was on point, 86% pass accuracy as a team. That's very impressive. It was our most impressive win of the season. Watching it, it was a fun game to watch as well. Up and down the field, roaming up and down the field. You'd love, Lewandowski getting involved a little bit more, but I mean, the output that he was doing great runs behind and opening up spaces that allowed Felix and Rafinha to attack through the sides and and just attack into the middle. And it boded well for us throughout the whole game, being able to get 4 goals. Started off really early, 20 minutes in. I mean, really early, we were able to get chances even before that Rafinha goal. The chances before, he had a few chances. He missed a few throughout the game. Obviously, he didn't have a perfect game, but this is, a very good sign from, Rafinha coming back from the injury. It felt like Yamal kind of took his place, and rightfully so. Yamal was playing really well. For a 16-year-old, 5 goals and 6 assists coming out, and that's a really big output, even for like us. That's There's some 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 23, 24, 25, say whatever age, that aren't getting those numbers in 7, 8 games, right? So, and they're not getting it in 20 games, much less 7, 8 games. And so obviously, there's going to be competition there, and you like to see Rafinha uh taking that competition to heart, and just becoming better and improving. I like that. Yeah, Yamal didn't even play in this game. Needs the rest. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play. And Rafinha just is the mainstay. We'll probably see Yamal come off the bench in a few games. He needs a few games rest. He played like 9, 10 games straight, and even though he's been phenomenal, he's 16 years old. This is his first full season doing this I mean, it's playing for Barcelona. Like, this is not a small club here. So every game is high pressure. Every game is, every game means something. If it's not, we're chasing Real Madrid, and then in the oh my goodness, Girona just scored as I'm filming. Girona scored as they're versing Rayo Vallecano, being able to overtake. So we'll be after this game, we'll be third if the score stays the same in that Girona game, 1-0. We'll still be third, but I mean, we're still pushing for that one spot. It doesn't stop now. Anything could happen. There's still at least I believe there's like um, 14 games left, 14 match days left, I believe. And in 14 match days, we could see Girona and Real Madrid drop 2 games, 3 games, the right amount of games that we need to squeak in there. Just need great play like this 4-0 win. So this is a good start, and obviously playing like this right before we see Napoli again as well. It's all positives. It's all positives as we see Napoli in 2 weeks. So it's all positives, and you want Rafinha to be a player that in that Napoli game. Yeah, you want Rafinha to start because that's a high pressure situation game. Even though Yamal is a great player, you want Rafinha to be prepared for that one because he's more prepared for the situation. He's been, part of this club. He's been part of high pressure situations before, even before Barcelona. Looking at his time at Leeds, helping them get out of the regulation battle before they eventually got relegated the year after he left and came to Barcelona. But the year he was with Leeds, he had some big pressure, games, and was able to deliver. He's a big, he's a mature player, so you'd like Rafinha to start, and beautiful beginning to that. So just building up to that. Let's go on to the Prem. We're seeing Man City close the gap against Bayern, Bayern. I'm thinking Bayern. I'm thinking ahead, but we'll talk about Bayern in a little bit. But Man City closing the gap against Liverpool. I feel like the Prem is the tightest. It is in the top 5 leagues right now. Looking at, I just mentioned Bundesliga. I mentioned Bayern. Bayern is 5 or 8 points down. Pretty disappointing. Last time I checked, they were 8 points down. Maybe a little bit less after this last weekend. We're gonna have to double check, but yeah, pretty disappointing up until this point. And Bayer Leverkusen have been very, very under the guidance of Xabi Alonso. They've been very, very impressive. Still undefeated, 33 games undefeated. You have to give props up to that. That's like reaching some greatness status. Obviously, you just start to wonder how long it's going to last, but you ride the wave. You're riding. This is greatness. Hasn't happened in a few years where we're seeing at least 30 games unbeaten. I seen the graphic where the next team they're they're gonna have to surpass that 2015-16 Barca team that went 39 games unbeaten. So that's 6 games. The team at the top is Juve. I think it was 2014-15. They went 43 games unbeaten. And that's the list from, longest unbeaten streaks in the 2000s. So, 10 games to surpass that Juve streak that, they set for the 2000s. But it's going to be interesting to see if they'll do that. But yeah, they've been playing really well. And yeah, back to the Prem. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but back to the Prem. City just a point down on Liverpool. We're seeing that, yeah, they got leveled on match plays last time we talked. They were playing, I believe, no, they're playing Luton tomorrow in the FA Cup, but they were playing Bournemouth. Yes, they were playing Bournemouth, and Haaland finally scored against Bournemouth. That's the only team that he hasn't scored on in the Prem, and he finally scored against them. And I say finally, and he's only been in the Man City squad for a year and a half, so that's wild to think about. That guy he's a crazy goal scorer. He's scored against every single Prem team. I mean, the resume that he's built in the Prem just continues to grow. It's going to be interesting to see how the season shakes up, though, for the City team. 59 points to Liverpool 60. Arsenal's in third with 58. So it's a three-headed race right now. At the moment, you got Aston Villa with 52, so they're kind of behind. Tottenham 47. United falling behind. I seen they lost to Fulham 2-1. Disappointing loss right there. They were just about to get into the or fighting to get that Aston Villa spot, but now just 8 points behind. It's gonna be interesting to see if they get any type of European football. Still 3 points behind Tottenham team. Tottenham hasn't been playing well though, so I'd be surprised if United doesn't at least get 5th. But I wouldn't say that Aston Villa hasn't played too bad. As of late, they've dropped a few games, so United still does have that opportunity. But 8 points is daunting for a United team that just lost to Fulham 2-1. They have one good game where their attackers are great. They're pushing the ball. They're doing what you want like a United team to do. Hodgson he scored in the 6 straight games or something like that. And then in other games, it's just disappointing defending and disappointing attacking. It's not promising from both sides of the ball, and then have teams being able to take advantage of that, and that's what Fulham did. And it is exactly what Fulham did. Quickly on the last thing about the Prem and all the Prem teams, I know it was a little bit over the place, but there was the FA Cup final, and it was the Championship final, with the English Cup, I guess, whatever they call it nowadays. Bunch of different names for that, but it was against Chelsea and Liverpool, and every time they face they go to extra times. But this time guess what? They went to extra time, and it's always 1-0. I mean, the under has been the best bet in this matchup for like the last 5-6 years. It's crazy. It's crazy the consistency and the kind of feel these two squads have for each other, despite the manager changes that Chelsea be having, despite the player changes that Chelsea be having, and obviously Liverpool be having. Just historically, I mean, as of late, these guys have just been tight, competitive matches where it's low scoring. It's been 1-0, and Van Dijk was able to get that last-minute header to propel Liverpool to win that. So, Liverpool got at least for Klopp's final season, as he's leaving Liverpool, not returning to the Prem, that's for sure. I was surprised that when he first, said the news about that, I thought that there wasn't going to be any, he wasn't going to coach anymore. But he's still going to coach. He's just going to take a year off and come back. I guess that's code for he doesn't want to, coach in the Prem anymore. Or, coach Liverpool. Yeah, just wants a new challenge. Wants more money somewhere else. We know the tight pockets of the Liverpool owners and all that of, recent years of just historically. So it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up, but at least he was able to get because they've been able to get, titles on their run. And, you like to see that as on his last year, he was able to get another one. Let's move on to some F1 talks. We got Red Bull. I mean, yeah, like F1, it's just, I don't think, if it's going to be a replica of last season, I'm not going to lie. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to watch. I'm going to be able to talk about, because the news that, is coming out after the preseason tests are done, and obviously we're on race week this week, and it's going to be the first race of the season in Bahrain. But the news we're hearing, or the fans are hearing, is, man, the Red Bull have a lot of time left on their car. Like they have a lot of power to be, reached. They have a lot of, they weren't using all the energy, they weren't using all the power, they weren't using, I'm hearing they were just using like 70% of the car's capabilities. So like obviously they're not even touching 30% plus what the upgrades are gonna be. They're saying that their car in mid-season is even gonna get better. So everybody's saying that, Ferrari was pretty close, right? We see Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc being able to, in day 2, get some fast lap times. Sainz on day 2 had the fastest lap time, right? And we seen them, on day 3, Leclerc had the fastest lap time, but it just didn't matter, because the news coming out, it's saying that, the reigning world champions, Red Bull, are nearing the higher end of mileage charts, and they were just doing a lot of long runs. It was a heavy car out there. They didn't do a lot of race simulations, and they didn't really, especially Max Verstappen, he didn't do anything where he was actually going to do like a race, a qualifying lap or anything like that, which is not great to hear. I mean, you're hearing that Max, even in the long runs, the short long run that he had, and obviously Perez had another long run as well on day 2 and 3. He was saying the car feels great, this and that, better than last year. Not great to hear. They can't even hide their excitement for how good the car is. And then you hear about Ferrari. They unlock a lot of times, like I said, but still feeling like they're much behind Mercedes. They feel like they're starting a lot better this year, on the base a lot better, but more positive than they did last season at the start. But still know that they have a lot of learning to do, and still have a lot of ground to catch up on Red Bull. Aston Martin taking a step back, which was surprising as well. And it looks like they're going to have to be on the catch up. They're going to have to be, try and get back to where they were, at least to start the season. It's going to be interesting to see where they end up this, first few days of this race week. So Friday and Saturday are going to show us a lot. I mean, Thursday and Friday, they're going to show us a lot, because, I mean, Friday for sure the most, because on that second practice day, we're going to see a lot more qualifying sims, and we're going to see, okay, how the Red Bull shakes out, how the Mercedes shakes out, how the Ferrari shakes out. But I'm not going to lie to you, man, if this season's a wash, and Ferrari, I mean, if Red Bull has it, Ferrari can't even, compete, and they're the closest ones, I'm hoping that Mercedes could do something, but man, it's tough to hope and not see results. Mercedes, they were sandbagging a little, did a lot of long runs too, so you hope that at least the car improved a lot, that they could, I mean, you see it, the numbers where they're 4/10 behind the Red Bull. It's not bad, but you hope that it gets a little, maybe to 3, and then, much closer fight. 4/10 isn't bad though. 4/10 is not bad. But you hope that, the Red Bull doesn't gain a much bigger lead than that, like they did last season. And, that they're not holding out as much. And, that the teams did improve. And Yeah, because you just want an exciting season. I mean, it was such a disappointing season last season. Okay, I want to get to some NBA. I've been talking a lot about other, I guess these are European sports, not a lot of North American sports on this Monday. But the first thing I want to talk about was the Raptors, man. These guys continue to win when we're trying to tank, man. And I know why. They want to give up this. They want to give up the 7th pick. They don't want, the rights to carry over to next year where the draft is quote unquote better, even though I say take every single pick you can, because who's saying that we're not going to be trash next year? We went out and we just went out to be able to get that seventh seed, right, or 7th pick, and then give it to the Spurs, and then next year we're just as trash and we need the 7th pick. So it just makes no sense to try and win out when we know that we're going to need that pick. We know we're going to need another young piece to win out. And all in all, it was, you can't really blame the team for trying to win games. At the end of the day, you don't want them to willingly lose games because they're trying to improve, become better as young players, so they're trying to win games. But it was a stupid trade. That's just the summary of it all. Jakob Poeltl, trading him for a first-round pick was a dumb thing. When it happened, I was confused. A year later, I'm confused. And after Siakam was traded, after OG was traded, they traded Jakob because of, trying to pair him up with Siakam. And, obviously everything that's happened. So it feels like such a dumb trade. And now the Spurs kind of hold our rights, and Spurs are able to improve their team tenfold this draft and next draft, because if they don't get it this draft, they might get a next draft. But it's just it feels like a dumb trade, and it feels like a dumb trade because I feel some little gems, at least, to be some high production, role players on, a championship team. There's some players in here that you could develop and bring in. Obviously, for that 7th or that 6th spot that the Raptors were gonna be slotted in, probably we're gonna take like a Rob Dillingham. He's been like on the rise. That's what they've been kind of projecting. But he's kind of like a 9, 10, 11, in my opinion, pick. Like for a 6 or 7 pick, if the Raptors were able to get that. Obviously, if it drops to 7, it's not the Raptors. If it was like a 6, it would be like a Cody Williams if he was able to drop a little bit. He's been balling in Colorado. Watched a few of those Colorado games, and you could just see he has the length. He's like a 6'8" forward, could shoot the 3. It doesn't really get on the inside too much, but that's okay. That's something that you could grow as a player. Doesn't really have the playmaking, but he's a scorer, and that's something that the Raptors would need. A Ron Holland, he's another lengthy guard or a lengthy big, that could stretch the floor. Could shoot the 3. He's a scorer. Could get on the inside, 3-level scorer, right? He's a great defender, someone that like fits the mold for a Toronto Raptors team. And not even talking if like Raptors were lucky enough to get like a top 3 pick and were able to go get like a Nikola Topic, like a point, and that the point guard from Serbia, playing in Red Star. That like there's some gems in this draft that I feel like could come in and produce and as I've been saying, as draft comes up, we're gonna do like a whole analysis on how like where the players are, and what I feel about the grades about the mock drafts and all of that as we get closer to the season ending. Maybe he has like 10 games, 15, because there's just so much time, even with the playoffs, and then after the playoffs, and there's still so much time before the draft. So like even before that, like, or even after that, maybe like after playoffs a little bit, we'll just like super dive in, or just before playoffs when we finally get an idea of how it's gonna shake out, especially like without the lottery. Let's just say with the team records, right? As the season gets to the end, still a lot of basketball to play, still 25. So yeah, we'll wait on that. Bucks might be getting it together. They started 3 of 7 in their last few games, and this weekend they went 2-0. They versed the 76ers. Were able to take care of business there. Quick thoughts on the 76ers. They look trash without Embiid, bro. I mean, garbage. And it's just like it's Tyrese Maxey is just not aggressive enough for me. In my opinion, you got to have an aggressive player, on that Philadelphia 76ers squad that's full of role players. You got to have one guy that wants to go score the basketball. And, you expected that to be Tyrese Maxey when, Joel Embiid went out. And they just continue to lose because he's not doing that. And, I mean, the Bucks were able to take care of business there. They were able to beat the Timberwolves as well on Friday. Impressive wins. And just able to build it up. I mean, still 2-2 and, I mean, able to beat the Nuggets last week, Monday, as well. Remember when we were talking about their big win? But then right after I talked about that, they lost big to the Heat. So it's still a work in progress over there. I'm gonna be interested. Like all season, I'm gonna talk about that because I still don't understand why why Doc Rivers is the coach. I mean, I guess he has the resume, but geez Louise, it doesn't even make any sense. Like, I mean, mid-season, all of that. Like, it's hard to get a coach in, slot him in mid-season, yada yada yada, all of that. But yeah, who cares? I mean, gotta critique it as it is because they made the decision and they put themselves in position to be critiqued like that. Celtics are up 9 games in the East. Ridiculous. Feels like the East is like it's a one-man band right now. I mean, the Bucks may be able to put it together, but if Philly don't get Joel Embiid, I feel like they'll continue to slide and they won't be able to beat a Celtics team in the playoffs. Maybe Indiana is able to be like those are my dark horse team, Indiana and the Knicks. Those two teams to be able to make some deep playoff runs because when you look at like everything's shaking out. Miami, they're shaky, but you never know. They were super inconsistent last season in the regular season. Obviously, Miami was like the 9th seed. They were like the 10th seed or something like that. They were a low seed, able to win out in the play-in. They won 2 games in the play-in to be able to get into the playoffs, went to the final. So it's like all of that. Obviously looking at that, like, you never know with that Miami team still. Like, they just turn it on in the playoffs, they turn it on. It is what it is. But right now it's the Celtics that's looking the best. I mean, having a substantial lead at the top because when you look at the West, it's one game or it's the same amount of games between 1 and 8 than it is between 1 and 2 in the East. So the Celtics are up 9 games in the to the Cavs in the West. The Timberwolves are up 9 games to the 8th seed Sun, right? So it's like, or it's even a little less. I think it's 7.5, right? So it's like, yeah, it's been tight in the West. I feel like the West has the tougher teams, the more complete teams for sure this year. I mean, up until this point, the only team that you really look at in the East and they've looked like consistently great has been the Celtics. And I guess in the league in the grand scheme of things, yeah, it's the Celtics that look the best in the whole league, even with the Nuggets and the other teams in the West, Timberwolves, OKC, name them off. The Celtics, they're not getting a lot of love, and I'm not even a Celtics supporter. I'm a Raptors guy, so obviously there's no love lost from the Celtics for the Celtics from me. But trust me when I'm saying, like, Tatum's averaging like 26, Brown's averaging 22, and they got Kristaps averaging like 16. I think White's averaging like 12. Holiday's averaging like 15, something like that. They got the most complete starting 5 at least in the whole NBA, and that's something to be scary for in the playoffs. As soon as they, starting to get together as well, because they got the whole bench and they got the whole chemistry part of it all. That's a team that has a lot to prove this year, and people putting them down definitely, will give them the motivation to do more and bring up more and try and improve themselves as a team or prove themselves as a team by winning the chip. I mean, they were in the title game just 2 years ago. So, that's a team to watch out for. Well, not watch out for because they're the best team in the league right now, in my opinion. I was going to do MVP rankings and all of that. I was going to do, the Cam Newton fight, fighting like 10 guys at once. I was going to talk about that. I was going to talk about the Clippers' new logo and rebounding. I was going to talk about like the Wemby dominance and all of that, but I'm going to just leave it for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm just going to, wrap it up here. Feel like, this is that Celtics talk just tied the whole knot, a great knot on the great conversation that I had here today. And I thank you guys if you've, reached to this point on the pod. Just leave a like, leave a little review. Tell me what I could do better. Tell me what you liked about this. Give me your thoughts overall on, any topics that I talked about today. And, I'd really appreciate it. I mean, if you already got to hear, might as well. And yeah, for another day, it's been your host, Isaiah Nunny. This has been the Game Time Gazette. Thank you.